Have you ever been part of something, truly incredible? That moment when a group of people, each bringing their own unique strengths, just sort of clicks into place and achieves something that felt, well, utterly impossible alone. It's almost like magic, isn't it?
Yeah, it really can feel that way.
We throw the word team around so casually, though. In our daily lives, sports teams, project teams, the team at work. But do we really truly understand what it means to be a high-performing team?
That's a great question.
Is it just a collection of individuals working in the same room? Or is there a profound, often pretty rigorous discipline behind that elusive magic?
I think that's exactly what we need to explore.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating world of teams. We'll be exploring what genuinely differentiates a mere group from a high-performing team, the kind of, rigorous discipline required to build such effective units.
Yeah.
And how various perspectives, from classic foundational ideas to cutting-edge contemporary research, shed light on this absolutely critical concept in any collective human endeavor.
And to guide us through this intricate landscape, our core sources for today's deep dive will primarily unpack the foundational ideas from Jon R. Katzenbach and Douglas K. Smith's landmark works, The Wisdom of Teams and The Discipline of Teams.
Right, the classics.
Exactly. These books, published back in the early 90s, really shaped how businesses and organizations began to think about teams as, fundamental units of performance, moving beyond just individual heroics. But we won't just stop there, resting on older insights. We'll also examine significant critiques that have emerged against some of their more popularized concepts. And we'll bring in more recent, robust research from figures like Richard Hackman and Susan Wheelan.
Okay.
Plus, we'll introduce a unique, complementary perspective that adds a deeply values-driven layer to our understanding of high-performance teams, taking us beyond purely secular models.
Okay, so our mission for you, the listener, in this deep dive is clear.
Yep.
We want to equip you with a precise, actionable understanding of what truly makes teams effective when it's actually appropriate and most impactful to deploy them.
Right.
And how to foster environments where they can genuinely thrive and achieve extraordinary results. This isn't just about theory, right?
No, not at all.
It's about giving you the tangible tools and insights to spot a real team in action, to understand how to build one from the ground up, or even to transform a struggling group into a cohesive, high-performing unit.
Exactly.
So, okay, let's unpack this and get right into it. So, first things first, what is a team, really? Defining the core. It's kind of astonishing, isn't it, how freely the word team gets used.
Oh, absolutely.
In our daily conversations, and especially in professional settings. It's just thrown around like confetti. We hear about committees, councils, task forces, all frequently called teams. But are they, really? I mean, what's the implication of using the word so loosely?
Well, that's a profound question, actually, because Katzenbach and Smith observed this very thing. They noted that this kind of loose, imprecise usage of the word team actively gets in the way of learning and applying the discipline that leads to good performance. If everything is a team, then, nothing is truly a team, right? They didn't just point out the problem, they proposed a much more precise and rigorous definition, almost like a technical specification for what a team truly is.
Okay, what was it?
To them, a team is a small number of people with complementary skills who are committed to a common purpose, set of performance goals, and approach for which they hold themselves mutually accountable.
Wow, okay, that's quite specific.
It's a mouthful, but every single word matters. And it's central to distinguishing superficial collaboration from genuine team performance.
That's fascinating because it goes way beyond just getting along or being supportive. A lot of what we associate with teamwork values, things like active listening, giving others the benefit of the doubt, providing support, recognizing achievements, those are undeniably valuable behaviors in any group setting, whether you're planning a family vacation or running a huge company. But you're saying they aren't exclusive to teams, and maybe more importantly, they're definitely not enough to ensure true team performance. So what's the biggest pitfall for a group that only focuses on those values, maybe mistaking them for actual team performance?
Well, that's the trap, isn't it? While those values are, conducive to positive working relationships and psychological safety, which we'll definitely touch on later, they don't by themselves define a team or guarantee its output.
Right.
A group can have the best intentions, the friendliest members, perfect communication, But if they lack that precise definitions elements, a common purpose, specific goals, a shared approach, and that mutual accountability for collective work products, they're just a highly congenial working group.
Okay.
The pitfall is that they might feel like a team, yet consistently fall short on tangible collective performance outcomes. It's kind of a self-deception that prevents them from applying the discipline needed to truly excel.
So if it's not just about good vibes and working alongside each other, what truly makes a team distinct from, say, a working group? We often use those terms interchangeably. What's the core differentiator that moves a collective of individuals from merely collaborating to truly being a team? The sources suggest the answer turns on performance results. Can you unpack that a bit?
Indeed, yeah. It all comes down to performance, but specifically how that performance is achieved and measured.
Yeah.
In a working group, performance is almost solely a function of what each individual member does.
Okay, like a typical department structure.
Exactly. Think of a traditional department. Everyone has their individual KPIs, their own tasks. They might meet to share information, discuss, make decisions. But the actual work products are individual.
Right.
Their collective effectiveness is measured indirectly, perhaps by their influence on others, or by the overall financial performance of the business unit they belong to. They report to a leader, and that leader holds them individually accountable.
Got it.
In stark contrast, a team's performance includes both individual results and collective work products.
Collective work products. What does that mean exactly?
It refers to anything that two or more members must work on together, something that truly couldn't be done effectively by just one person. Imagine a research team conducting joint interviews for a complex study, or collaborating on a shared, integrated survey design, or executing complex, interdependent experiments together. This collective work product is the tangible manifestation of their joint, real contribution.
Ah, I see.
And it's what fundamentally differentiates a true team. It's not just about sharing information, it's about sharing the work itself, literally rolling up sleeves together.
That's a powerful distinction. So it's not just a philosophical point, it's about a very real, measurable output that requires true collaboration and interdependence.
Precisely.
It means that, as the sources put it, simply stated, a team is more than the sum of its parts. It's this ability to produce those discrete, joint work products that makes possible performance levels greater than the sum of all the individual bests of team members.
Right, that synergy.
It allows for a kind of synergy that individual efforts, no matter how good, simply cannot achieve. It makes me think of like an orchestra versus just a collection of soloists. Both produce music, but one is a single, unified sound.
Exactly, that's a great analogy. And that synergy is fundamentally underpinned by the critical factor of individual and mutual accountability.
Okay. Mutual accountability.
Yes. A true team holds itself responsible, not just as individuals for their separate tasks, but as a collective for the team's overall performance and shared work products.
So it's internal, not just external pressure.
Exactly. This isn't about being coerced or pressured by external forces. The boss holds me accountable. Instead, it arises naturally, organically, when the team truly shares a common purpose, a set of specific goals, and a well-defined approach that they've crafted together. This shared responsibility and deep interdependence create a profoundly energizing and motivating experience for all members, driving them to achieve beyond what they thought possible because they are truly in it together. When you know your success depends on everyone else and their success depends on you, a really powerful dynamic emerges.
Now that we have a clearer definition, let's talk about the discipline required to build these powerhouses. It seems the very essence of a team, the foundational element, is a common commitment. Without this shared dedication, groups might as well be just a collection of individuals working side by side. But with it, they reportedly transform into a powerful unit of collective performance. What fuels that kind of commitment? How do you, ignite it?
Well, this commitment isn't abstract. It necessitates a purpose that team members can genuinely and deeply believe in. It needs to be more than just a task list.
Okay.
It should have an element of winning, being first, revolutionizing, or being on the cutting edge. Think about it. People need to feel a sense of shared ownership, a belief that what they're doing is truly meaningful and impactful beyond their individual job descriptions.
Right, the why.
Exactly, the why. This intrinsic motivation, this shared belief in the purpose, is the key to transforming a group into a committed unit. It's what makes them willing to go the extra mile, to pick up the slack for a teammate, to engage in those difficult, sometimes uncomfortable conversations.
So is management's role just to dictate that purpose from the top down? Or is there more nuance there? Because it sounds like this kind of genuine commitment can't really be forced or just assigned.
That's a critical nuance, yeah, and one that separates effective leadership from merely issuing directives. Higher management usually provides the initial demand or opportunity, right? Broadly framing the performance expectation. They clarify the charter, the rationale, the overall performance challenge, maybe saying, we need to significantly improve customer satisfaction in this region, or we need to reduce our waste by X%.
Okay.
However, and this is key, they must leave enough flexibility for the team to develop commitment around its own spin on that purpose.
Our own spin.
Yeah. The best teams, the sources show, invest a tremendous amount of time and effort exploring, shaping, and agreeing on a purpose that belongs to them both collectively and individually. This purposing activity isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing, iterative process throughout the team's life, constantly refining their shared understanding.
So it evolves.
It does. Conversely, failed teams rarely coalesce around a challenging aspiration, often because they lack this vital shared ownership. The purpose never truly becomes theirs. It remains something handed down.
Okay, so once that common purpose is established, how does it get translated into something, well, actionable, something concrete? The sources identify this translation into specific performance goals as the surest first step for a team to make its purpose truly meaningful. This is where the rubber meets the road, isn't it?
Absolutely. This is critical.
Can you give us some concrete examples that illustrate this transformation from that maybe grand purpose to measurable goals?
Sure. Think about goals like reducing the reject rate from suppliers by 50% within 6 months.
Okay, very specific.
Or maybe increasing the math scores of graduates from 40% to 95% on standardized tests by the end of the academic year. These aren't vague aspirations.
Yes.
They're precise, measurable targets.
Got it.
And the benefits of such specific performance goals are multifaceted and really quite powerful.
Like what?
Well, first, they help define a set of work products that are distinct from broader organizational missions or individual job objectives, things that require collective effort for real value.
Linking back to the collective work product idea.
Exactly. For instance, if the goal is reducing reject rate, the team might collectively design new supplier vetting processes, conduct joint audits, develop shared feedback mechanisms. These are things they must do together.
Makes sense.
Second, their specificity facilitates clear communication and constructive conflict within the team. When goals are clear, like a plant-level team aiming to reduce machine changeover time to 2 hours, discussions can focus concretely on how to achieve that, rather than getting lost in ambiguity or, personal disagreements. It shifts the conversation from what are we even doing to how do we get this done efficiently.
Right, keeps it objective.
Third, the attainability and tangibility of these specific goals help teams maintain a relentless focus on getting results. Consider Eli Lilly's product development team. They had definite, memorable yardsticks for their ultrasonic probe, an audible signal, a specific manufacturing rate, a unit cost target. They knew exactly where they stood throughout the development process. Every step counted.
Okay.
Fourth, specific objectives have a leveling effect that's conducive to team behavior. Think about participants in, say, outward bound programs. Titles and pucks fade away in pursuit of a common challenge like navigating a wilderness trail. Everyone becomes equal in the face of the shared objective.
Yeah. Fosters camaraderie.
Exactly. Fifth, these goals enable small wins, which are invaluable for building commitment and overcoming obstacles. The Night Rider team, for example, evolved their purpose from just eliminating errors to a broader customer service focus by achieving small, incremental steps. Each small win built confidence and demonstrated their capability. It's like climbing a mountain one foothold at a time.
Builds momentum.
Precisely. And finally, these performance goals are inherently compelling. They act as powerful symbols of accomplishment, motivating and energizing team members with drama, urgency, and a healthy fear of failure. Because nobody but the team can make it happen, achieving those goals becomes their challenge, their shared destiny. Creates a powerful internal drive.
Wow, that paints a very clear and compelling picture. It's the tangible, measurable nature of these goals that really locks in the team's focus and energy. And it highlights how the combination of purpose and specific goals is essential to performance, right? Each depends on the other to remain relevant and vital. Without clear goals, the purpose can feel too abstract, maybe unachievable. Without a compelling purpose, the goals might lack that emotional drive and meaning. It's a powerful feedback loop.
That's perfectly put. Now, moving beyond purpose and goals, there's practical guidance from the research on team size. Virtually all effective teams observed range between 2 and 25 people.
2 to 25, okay.
But the vast majority numbered less than 10. While a large number, say 50 or more, could theoretically become a team, groups of that size are far more likely to break into smaller subteams rather than function cohesively as a single unit.
Right, just too unwieldy.
Exactly. It becomes incredibly difficult to manage interaction, coordination, and ensure individual accountability. Imagine trying to get 50 people to agree on who does what for a collective work product.
Yeah, no kidding. And what about how members are chosen? It's a common inclination, isn't it, to pick team members based on personal compatibility or maybe their formal position in the organization, often, unfortunately, neglecting the absolutely necessary skill mix the team will need to succeed.
Yeah, that's a huge trap.
That seems like a recipe for a congenial working group, like we talked about, not a high-performing team. What should leaders prioritize when selecting members?
You've hit on a critical point. Simply picking people who get along or who happen to be available is a common mistake. The sources stress that while a minimum complement of skills is certainly needed at the outset, you can't build software without any programmers, right?
Sure.
It was rare to find a successful team that had all the needed skills from day one. And this is a crucial insight. Teams are described as powerful vehicles for developing the skills needed to meet the team's performance challenge.
So they can learn and grow into the skills.
Precisely. This means that selection should ride as much on skill potential as on skills already proven. A great example they give is the Burlington Northern team. They were tasked with a marketing-focused challenge, but initially lacked experienced marketers. Instead of waiting or hiring externally, they focused on developing internal talent, identifying individuals with strong potential, and supporting them to acquire the necessary marketing skills as they progress towards their goals.
Interesting.
This adaptability and capacity for internal development, fostering that cross-functional skill growth, are hallmarks of effective teams.
So once you have your small group with complementary skills, or the potential for them, and a compelling purpose translated into specific goals, what's next? For high performance, teams need more than just shared goals. They need a strong commitment to a common approach, right? Meaning how they will actually work together.
Yes, the how, it's vital.
This isn't a small detail, is it? This includes agreeing on who does what, how schedules will be set and adhered to, what skills need to be developed, how ongoing membership is earned, even their specific decision-making processes. It's like establishing the rules of the game they're playing together.
That's right, and it's absolutely vital. It's kind of self-evident that an approach relying only on reviews and meetings, or one that delegates all the real work to just a few members, cannot sustain a true team. The sources explicitly state that every member of a successful team, including the leader, must contribute equivalent amounts of real work.
Equivalent amounts.
Yeah, this doesn't mean everyone does the same thing, but everyone contributes in concrete, meaningful ways to the team's collective work product. This is described as a very important element of the emotional logic that drives team performance.
Why is that?
Because it builds a sense of shared contribution, equity, and a deep understanding of each other's efforts. When everyone is literally rolling up their sleeves, it cultivates mutual respect and commitment. You know everyone's pulling their weight.
So it's not just about what they achieve, but crucially, how they achieve it, and that everyone is genuinely contributing to the core work. It sounds like this involves a deep level of mutual discovery and understanding of how to apply all human resources to a common purpose, essentially establishing a kind of social contract among members.
That's a good way to put it.
This contract isn't written down formally, maybe, but it's understood by everyone. It outlines their shared obligations, behaviors, and the ground rules for interaction.
Indeed, and building on that, no group truly becomes a team until it can hold itself mutually accountable. This is highlighted as a stiff test, fundamentally differentiating the boss holds me accountable from the far more powerful we hold ourselves accountable.
The internal versus external again.
Right. The first, where accountability is external, can certainly lead to the second, where it's internalized. But without that crucial second element, without the team itself fostering this internal collective responsibility, there is simply no true team. It's a hallmark of a mature, high-performing unit.
So it's not something that can be imposed from the outside. Mutual accountability cannot be coerced or simply wished into existence by a manager.
No, absolutely not.
It sounds like it arises organically from and simultaneously reinforces the time, energy, and action that members invest in, meticulously defining the team's purpose and its specific approach. It's a natural, almost inevitable consequence of that shared investment and shared journey.
Precisely. When people genuinely work together toward a common objective, investing their effort in defining that purpose and approach, trust and commitment follow as natural outcomes. The sources consistently emphasize that members of effective teams found the experience energizing and motivating in ways that their normal jobs never could match. This intrinsic reward, the satisfaction of collective accomplishment, is a powerful driver, often surpassing external incentives.
Yeah, makes sense.
Contrast this with groups formed solely for broader, less defined goals like, say, job enhancement, communication, organizational effectiveness, or excellence. These types of groups rarely become effective teams. Well, think about many quality circles back in the 80s. They often failed because they couldn't translate the abstract concept of quality into specific measurable goals that required mutual accountability.
Too vague.
Exactly. The absence of specific, challenging performance goals often leads to cynicism and ultimately failure as members realize they aren't truly producing anything collectively.
Okay, so we've got the core definition and the building blocks. Now, Katzenbach and Smith also categorized teams into different types, right? Each with its own challenges.
That's right. They identified 3 distinct types, each needing slightly different handling. The first type is teams that recommend things.
Recommend things, like task forces.
Exactly. Task forces, project groups, audit teams, quality or safety groups. Their primary purpose is to study specific problems, analyze options, and then formulate solutions or recommendations for others to implement.
Okay.
And they almost always have predetermined completion dates, a clear beginning and end. Okay. Here's where it gets really interesting. So, for these types of teams, what are the unique critical issues they face? Because it sounds like their temporary nature and that focus on recommendations rather than implementation might introduce specific hurdles.
You're absolutely right. Their temporary nature and advisory role introduce 2 critical issues unique to these teams. First, getting off to a fast and constructive start is crucial, given their often tight deadlines.
Yeah, no time to waste.
Right. They can't afford a long storming phase. They need clarity on their charter, scope, and initial deliverables almost immediately. Second, and perhaps even more challenging, is effectively managing the ultimate handoff required to get recommendations implemented.
The handoff. That sounds tricky.
It is. A brilliant set of recommendations is utterly useless if it never sees the light of day, right? If it's ignored or misinterpreted by the implementing parties. Imagine a task force spending 6 months on a complex strategic plan only for it to gather dust on a shelf. That's a major failure point.
So how does management help there? Well, management plays a vital role here, far beyond just assigning the task. They must ensure a crystal clear charter defining the problem, scope, desired outcome, constraints. They also need to assemble the right mix of members, not just with the necessary analytical skills, but also with the influence and credibility to ensure their recommendations carry weight later on.
Okay, influence matters too.
Absolutely. Furthermore, active help from senior management is essential by opening doors and dealing with political obstacles that might impede the team's progress or, crucially, the implementation of its findings. It's about being a sponsor and removing roadblocks, making sure the path is clear for the recommendations to actually be adopted.
Okay, moving on to the next type. Teams that make or do things. These sound like the teams at or near the front lines responsible for the core value-adding activities. Manufacturing, product development, operations, marketing, sales, service.
That's them.
It seems like, maybe with exceptions like new product development, their activities are generally ongoing, so they tend to have no set completion dates.
Yeah.
They're the workhorses of the organization, in a way, continually delivering.
Indeed. For these operational teams, the advice is that top management should identify critical delivery points. Those places in the organization where the cost and value of products and services are most directly determined.
Critical delivery points. Yeah.
It could be where customer accounts are managed, where complex customer service interactions happen, or where products are designed and manufactured in a highly integrated way. If performance at these specific points genuinely requires combining multiple skills, perspectives, and judgments in real time.
Real time.
Yeah, meaning people with different expertise need to make decisions and act together moment to moment. If that's the case, then deploying the team option is definitively the smartest one. It's about optimizing immediate value creation, recognizing that complex, real-time problems are often best solved by a cohesive unit working together right then and there.
So it's not just about creating teams everywhere, but being really strategic about where they're most impactful, where that real-time collaboration is truly essential.
Exactly.
This underscores the imperative here, doesn't it? A relentless focus on performance. Without this disciplined attention to measurable results, an organization might fall into the trap of just doing teams for their own sake.
Yeah, the team washing phenomenon.
Right. Perhaps because it's fashionable or sounds good, rather than for concrete, measurable results. It becomes a fad rather than a strategic advantage, and that sounds like a dangerous path.
Very much so. The third category they identified is teams that run things.
Run things, like leadership teams.
Exactly. These are the groups from the very top of an enterprise down to divisional or functional levels, overseeing ongoing business, programs, or significant functional activities. Think the executive committee, steering committees, functional heads.
It's interesting because this type brings up a paradox, doesn't it? While many leaders instinctively refer to their groups as teams, the sources say few groups really are. And, counterintuitively, groups that do become real teams often don't even think of themselves that way because they're so intensely focused on their performance results rather than the label.
That's a crucial observation, yeah, and it cuts right to the heart of the matter. These teams that run things are often described as the most difficult but also the most powerful teams to form.
What difficult?
Precisely because the individuals in these groups often have their own distinct individual accountabilities for their respective functions or business units. The head of marketing has marketing goals, head of sales has sales goals, and so on.
Right.
So a key judgment for these groups is whether a real team approach is even necessary in the first place. Many such groups can actually be more effective as working groups if individual efforts truly suffice to meet their performance aspirations. There's no inherent need for a team structure if the work doesn't require deep collective effort.
So forcing it can backfire.
Absolutely. Trying to force a team structure where it's not needed can lead to confusion and inefficiency.
And it sounds like there's a real risk if you force it. The sources warn about the high price of faking the team approach. Members get diverted from their individual goals and responsibilities. Internal costs often outweigh the benefits of any supposed teamwork. Resentment builds up among members who feel their time is being wasted.
Yeah, it can breed cynicism.
And it can even undercut the potential personal bests of a more effective working group approach. It's a significant downside to misapplying the team concept, turning what could be a strength into a source of frustration and underperformance.
Absolutely. Crucially, for a real team that runs things to form, there must be a team purpose that is distinctive and specific to the small group, and that purpose must genuinely require members to roll up their sleeves and accomplish something beyond individual end products.
And collective.
Yes. It's not enough for them to just review or assess the overall economic performance of the organization they oversee. Their collective work must produce something new and specific that individual efforts alone could not, driving that mutual accountability we discussed earlier.
Can you give an example?
Sure. A true executive team might collectively design and launch a major new cross-functional initiative that none of their individual functions could handle alone, taking collective ownership for its success and producing joint work products related to it. That's different than just reviewing individual department reports.
Okay, so if we want to build these high-performing units, regardless of type, what are the proven paths? The actionable strategies? The sources suggest that effective teams don't just emerge in a vacuum, they thrive in a compelling context. It seems all members need to genuinely believe the team's purpose is urgent and worthwhile. How do you instill that kind of urgency and shared conviction?
Well, that's a fundamental starting point, and it often begins with leadership clarity. The research shows that the more urgent and meaningful the rationale, the more likely the team will achieve its full performance potential. Urgency creates focus, right? Imagine a customer service team that was explicitly told by senior leadership that further company growth, maybe even survival, depended on major, measurable improvements in their specific area.
Wow, okay.
That directly links their daily efforts to the company's vital future, making their mission incredibly urgent and personal. Organizations with strong overall performance ethics, where accountability is ingrained and high standards are the norm, often find it easier to form real teams because the context already demands high performance. It's about communicating a true performance challenge that only a collective effort can address.
Beyond urgency, what about how the team interacts day to day? It seems effective teams actively develop explicit rules of conduct right at the outset. These aren't just polite suggestions, are they?
No, definitely not suggestion.
They're identified as critical to achieving the team's purpose and goals, acting as the guardrails for productive interaction.
No, they're foundational, truly non-negotiable in high-performing teams. These rules create the framework for productive interaction and ensure everyone understands the expectations. The sources detail some of the most critical initial rules for behavior.
Like what?
For instance, strict attendance and punctuality, no interruptions to take phone calls, be on time, open discussion, no sacred cows, meaning all ideas are fair game for critique, confidentiality, the only things to leave this room are what we agree on, which builds trust, an analytic approach, facts are friendly, meaning discussions should be data-driven and objective, not based on opinions or personal agendas. And product orientation, everyone gets assignments and does them, ensuring follow-through. Constructive confrontation, no finger-pointing, focusing on issues and solutions, not blame.
Okay.
And often, arguably the most important rule, is that everyone does real work, meaning every member contributes tangibly and equitably to the collective work product, not just attends meetings or delegates.
Right, back to that equivalent contribution idea.
Exactly. These rules aren't about stifling creativity, they're about channeling it productively and ensuring high-quality output and mutual respect.
Building on that, the sources strongly emphasize that there is no such thing as a real team without performance results.
Absolutely fundamental.
So it seems like the sooner a team achieves early results, even small ones, the sooner it congeals and strengthens its identity. This suggests focusing on quick wins early on, right? It's about demonstrating competence to themselves.
Exactly. These early small wins are absolutely crucial for building momentum and commitment, especially for a newly formed team. They can be set in motion by establishing a few challenging goals that are attainable quickly, ideally within weeks or maybe a couple of months.
All right.
Achieving these early successes validates the team's approach, builds collective confidence, and reinforces the belief that they can indeed achieve their broader, more ambitious purpose. It's like proving the concept to themselves, which is a powerful accelerant for team development and cohesion. It builds a virtuous cycle where success breeds more success and greater commitment. Think of a software team tasked with a new, complex product. Delivering a small, functional prototype early on can galvanize the entire team and demonstrate their capabilities.
What happens when teams hit a plateau, though, or start to get comfortable, maybe relying too much on their own internal wisdom?
Complacency is a risk.
It sounds like they can get stuck if they rely only on existing knowledge or internal perspectives. The research indicates that new, external information is actually a powerful catalyst for breaking through those plateaus and sparking new insights.
It absolutely is. Effective teams are learning organizations, they're not static. Providing fresh facts and new information forces a team to redefine and enrich its understanding of the performance challenge.
How so?
Well, it helps them refine their common purpose, set clearer goals, and significantly improve their common approach. A vivid example cited is a plant quality improvement team. They knew the cost of poor quality was high, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't until they researched the cost of different types of defects, quantifying the financial impact of each specific flaw, and put a precise price tag on each one, that they truly knew where to focus their efforts next for maximum impact.
Data-driving focus.
Exactly. Teams err when they assume that all the information needed exists in the collective experience and knowledge of their members. External data, customer feedback, competitive analysis, new technological insights, all these things can be transformative, injecting new life and direction into the team's work.
And finally, a timeless principle, but applied specifically to teams, exploiting the power of positive feedback, recognition, and reward. It sounds like positive reinforcement is just as effective in the team context as it is anywhere else. It's about giving out gold stars, so to speak, to shape and reinforce new behaviors critical for team performance. How does this play out specifically within a team dynamic?
That's right. Consider this specific team dynamic. If a shy or hesitant person makes an initial effort to speak up and contribute a new idea in a team meeting, providing honest, positive reinforcement for that specific effort, that's a really insightful point. Thank you for sharing that. Strongly encourages their continued participation and builds their confidence as a contributing team member.
Okay.
Beyond direct financial compensation, recognition can come in many forms. It could be a senior executive addressing the team directly about the urgency and importance of their mission, publicly acknowledging their progress. It could be through formal awards to acknowledge their collective contributions, or simply celebrating small wins together as a team.
So it's not always about money.
Not at all. Ultimately, however, the sources highlight that the satisfaction shared by a team in its own performance becomes the most cherished reward. The intrinsic feeling of collective accomplishment, the pride in a job well done together, is profoundly motivating and sustainable over the long haul.
Now, we've covered the foundational work of Katzenbach and Smith, which was truly groundbreaking at the time, really shifted how many organizations thought about teams.
Definitely influential.
But no theory stands untouched by time and new research, right? Let's talk about something specific that still floats around social media quite a bit. The Katzenbach's team performance curve.
Ah, yes, the curve.
This curve posits stages like working group, pseudo-team, potential team, real team, and high-performing team. It's often presented as, well, gospel, almost like a universal truth for team development. But how scientifically valid is it, really? And what are the implications if it's not as robust as it appears?
That's an excellent question, and it's where modern scrutiny truly provides a crucial reality check. The blunt truth, as stated by more recent researchers looking back, is that the curve is not scientific.
Not scientific. How so?
The points through which the curve goes are typologies that represent the writer's sense-making, rather than empirical data derived from rigorous observation. The supporting data, even by the author's own admission in their original work, is primarily anecdotal.
So stories and observations.
Exactly, based on their consulting observations and stories rather than controlled studies. Furthermore, the axes themselves, like team effectiveness, are inherently difficult to measure consistently in real life, making its practical applicability quite unclear. It was a useful conceptual model for its time, perhaps, a way to make sense of observations, but it's not a validated scientific framework that accurately predicts team behavior.
Okay.
The critique goes further. The stages of team development presented in the curve are simply the writer's version of team evolution, probably inspired by Tuckman's model, the forming, storming, norming, performing model.
Right, I've heard of that.
Which itself has faced significant criticism over the years and was never really fully proven as a universal linear progression for all groups. However, in reality, there are numerous possible paths, patterns, and end states for team development, not just a single linear progression up this curve.
So it's much messier in reality.
Much messier. It's critical to understand that the curve is completely made up, and a normal team does not necessarily go through a performance slump, a hero's journey. It just continuously learns and adapts. Promoting teamwork with this picture, according to more recent analysis, will do more harm than good.
Why more harm?
Because it creates unrealistic expectations of a linear, often painful progression. It could potentially lead teams to believe a slump is normal and inevitable, rather than a sign of underlying issues that need addressing. It might discourage them from seeking help or changing course when things aren't working.
So it's not just an oversimplification, but potentially misleading about the actual journey a team takes. And it sounds like the idea of a pseudo-team, a group that says it's a team but isn't performing well a valid concept, is only one possible reason for bad performance.
That's right.
Teams can also underperform for many other reasons, right? Like lacking the right people, sufficient resources, a clear goal, or other essential organizational conditions. And these issues, by the way, also affect working groups. So it's not unique to some specific pseudo-team stage on this hypothetical curve. It seems modern research wants us to look much deeper at the underlying conditions for success.
And this brings us nicely to more robust, research-backed foundations of teamwork. We absolutely must acknowledge Richard Hackman. He dedicated 40 years of research on teamwork at Harvard. His 2005 book, Leading Teams, and his 2011 work, Collaborative Intelligence, are widely considered primary sources for building effective teamwork and should be, frankly, essential reading for anyone serious about this topic. His work provides a much more empirical, data-driven basis for understanding team success, moving beyond those earlier anecdotal observations.
So what did Hackman find? What are the big takeaways?
Well, Hackman's research yielded some truly significant findings regarding where team success originates, insights that really flip some traditional thinking on its head. He concluded that a striking 60% of the success comes from creating the right organizational conditions, long before the team even starts its work.
60%, just from the setup.
60%. Think about this. This isn't about team training or coaching once the team is formed. It's about the fundamental environment. These conditions include having a real team, like Katzenbach and Smith define, a compelling direction, an enabling structure, good design, clear norms, a supportive organizational context, resources, information and rewards, and access to expert coaching.
Wow, okay. So the environment is huge. What about the rest?
Then another 30% comes at the launch of the team.
Launch.
Yeah. This emphasizes how critical that initial setup phase is, the clarity of purpose, the right mix of skills, establishing clear norms and expectations, and crucially, building initial trust. Hackman talked about a trust check at launch.
And trust check, what's that?
It refers to fundamental questions individuals implicitly or explicitly ask themselves when joining a team. How will I be treated? Which speaks to psychological safety. Will others do their part, addressing reliability and interdependence? And are we going to survive or succeed? Which relates to shared purpose and confidence in the mission. Ah, okay. That connects directly to Google's rework research, doesn't it? Yeah. Which later really popularized the concept of psychological safety as a cornerstone for high-performing teams.
Exactly. Where members feel safe to take risks, voice opinions, even make mistakes without fear of negative consequences. It's foundational.
So 60% conditions, 30% launch. That leaves 10%.
And finally, only 10% from coaching while working.
Only 10%.
Only 10%. This highlights that ongoing coaching, while definitely valuable for fine-tuning and overcoming specific hurdles, plays a smaller role in overall success compared to getting the preconditions and the launch right.
Right.
This doesn't diminish the role of coaching, but it crucially reprioritizes where leaders should focus their energy for maximum impact on the design and launch.
Okay. And for understanding how teams actually develop over time, for a deeper dive into how groups actually develop into a one solid team over time, specifically the internal dynamics and stages groups go through, it's really worth exploring Susan Wheelan's extensive work. She provides a more nuanced, research-backed model of group development, focusing on the social and emotional journey of a team, moving beyond the simpler linear models.
That's fascinating. 60% from conditions, 30% from launch, and only 10% from ongoing coaching. It puts a huge emphasis on setting things up correctly from the very beginning, doesn't it? Ensuring the ground is fertile for team success before they even start.
It really does.
And to broaden our understanding even further, beyond just team structure and development, we also have Deci and colleagues' decades of research on intrinsic motivation. That speaks to the individual's experience within the team, right?
Yes, self-determination theory. Very important.
Their findings show that intrinsic motivation, which is crucial for deep engagement and not just compliance, comes from 3 core psychological needs being met. What are they again?
Competence, autonomy, and relatedness.
Competence, autonomy, relatedness.
Okay, exactly. Competence means feeling effective and capable in one's actions. Autonomy is the sense of choice and control over one's work not being micromanaged. And relatedness is the feeling of connection and belonging to others, feeling cared for and contributing to something beyond oneself.
Right.
When team environments foster these 3 psychological needs, members are not just motivated externally by rewards or pressure, but internally driven by a genuine interest and enjoyment in their work. This really broadens our understanding of what keeps team members engaged and thriving, not just what makes the team function effectively on the outside. It speaks to the internal experience of the individual within the team, making them not just productive members, but genuinely fulfilled ones.
Okay, now let's shift gears completely. We've looked at business and academic takes, but let's explore a unique and complementary perspective that moves beyond those purely secular frameworks. While Katzenbach and Smith were influencing the business world, another organization, the Union Baptist Association, the UBA, also looked to the wisdom of teams back in the early 90s. But they weren't just about profit. They were driven by values and a spiritual mission. They didn't just adopt the existing framework wholesale. They identified additional elements they believed were crucial for high-performance teams, especially in their specific values-driven context. What did they add to the conversation?
That's right. The UBA staff, as they were exploring various resources on team dynamics for their own work, came to identify 9 key elements for what they considered a strong, healthy, and high-performance team within their unique context of kingdom work, as they put it.
9 elements.
Yes. Their list expands on the secular models and includes spiritual vitality, shared vision, personal awareness, diversity, trust, empowerment, competence, dialogue, and learning.
Okay, some overlap, some new ones there.
Exactly. While acknowledging that the list isn't exhaustive and the names might shift, these elements form the core of what they found in great teams, particularly within their mission-driven environment where values played such a paramount role.
And they even created a visual model, didn't they? A kind of pyramid to illustrate how these elements build upon each other.
Yes, they did.
It seems learning is at the very top of their pyramid, signifying that without it, progress and overcoming failures are impossible. It's about a constant process of growth.
Essential for adaptation.
But even more foundational, shared vision and personal awareness are the bedrock blocks at the bottom, and uniquely, spiritual vitality covers and encircles all, providing an overarching ethos or atmosphere.
That's the model.
That's a powerful and distinct framework, isn't it? Blending classic team theory with a deeper spiritual and ethical dimension, it forces you to consider what underpins everything else.
Let's delve into those 3 foundational elements they highlighted, starting with spiritual vitality. This element, as you noted, is usually missing in books targeting the business audience, and for obvious reasons, right? Business literature tends to focus on secular frameworks. For the UBA, however, it was absolutely crucial for high performance in the work of the kingdom. They emphasized that a team's effectiveness wasn't just about human effort alone, but about aligning with a higher purpose and, for them, divine guidance. They even quote John 15.5 from the Bible, where Jesus says, "I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing."
That's profound integration. It really emphasizes how, for them, biblical principles could directly inform and strengthen what we might traditionally consider secular core team values, grounding them in a deeper, transcendent purpose that extends beyond any immediate task or organizational goal.
Exactly.
It suggests that a team spirit, maybe in a broader sense, can be a source of incredible strength and resilience.
Next, consider shared vision. The UBA illustrates its disturbingly powerful importance with the ancient story of the Tower of Babel from Genesis 11.
The Tower of Babel, okay.
The people had a compelling, albeit flawed and arguably pride-driven shared vision to build a tower reaching the heavens and make a name for ourselves. They had a common language, a clear strategy, the means to execute it, all driven by this singular ambition. God's observation about this collective effort, according to the text, is incredibly telling and profound. If, as one people speaking the same language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them.
Wow. Nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them.
Wow.
That's a powerful statement about shared vision.
It is. It means that even a misdirected shared vision in that story demonstrated immense potential and power. It wasn't the goodness of the vision, but that the unity around it that unleashed that potential. This reinforces its foundational role in any collective human endeavor, regardless of the ultimate objective. It's about the raw, unifying force of a shared mental picture for good or ill. And finally, personal awareness. The UBA highlights why personal awareness is so critical, perhaps by simply asking you to imagine being on a team with someone who lacks it.
Yeah, that's easy to imagine, unfortunately.
Right. This isn't just about self-knowledge in a vacuum. It's about understanding how your actions, your biases, your personality impact others on the team. This lack of awareness could manifest in numerous ways.
Like what?
Someone who consistently distrusts the motives of others, maybe due to their own past experiences. Someone who constantly interrupts others without really listening. Someone who habitually withdraws from constructive conflict or disagreement. Someone who reacts defensively to any hint of criticism. Someone who is chronically late, intolerant of different viewpoints, dismissive of others' contributions, or maybe even prejudiced. These are all behaviors that actively erode trust, open dialogue, and ultimately productivity. They make true teamwork nearly impossible.
And it sounds like a lack of personal awareness isn't just a minor annoyance or a personality quirk. It negatively impacts the team at a very fundamental level.
Absolutely.
Making it detrimental and unproductive to attempt to move forward until those issues are addressed or at least acknowledged. The UBA emphasizes these 3 elements: spiritual vitality, shared vision, and personal awareness as absolutely crucial and needing to be firmly anchored before other characteristics can be fully anchored, and a high-performance team can truly flourish.
They see them as the bedrock.
Yeah, the bedrock on which everything else is built, suggesting that inward focus and alignment within the team members are just as important as the external actions and goals. We've taken quite a journey today in this deep dive, haven't we? We started by unpacking the initial, precise definitions of what truly makes a real team, differentiating it from just a group of people working together.
Getting that clarity first.
Then we explored the critical disciplines and various types of teams that Katzenbach and Smith so effectively laid out in their foundational work, understanding how to apply team principles strategically.
Right, the discipline and the different contexts.
From there, we moved into the crucial critiques from more modern research, challenging some of the earlier assumptions like the performance curve, and adding new empirically backed insights from Hackman, Wheelan, and Deci, focusing on creating the right conditions and understanding individual motivation.
Yeah, bringing in that crucial modern research perspective.
And finally, we wrapped up with the profound, values-driven foundations discussed by the Union Baptist Association, offering a unique spiritual and personal dimension to team dynamics.
It's important for you, the listener, to remember that while the team option undeniably offers that potential for extra performance beyond individual efforts, it also brings more risk and demands significantly more discipline.
Right, it's not free.
Not at all. It's not a silver bullet for every organizational challenge, nor is it always the right solution. Therefore, it's absolutely essential to be brutally honest in assessing the trade-offs and determine if the team approach is genuinely the right tool for the job for a specific performance challenge you're facing. Misapplying the team concept can be costly, lead to burnout, and ultimately prove counterproductive.
So what does this all mean for you? As you reflect on your own experiences with teams, both the exhilarating successes and, let's be honest, the frustrating struggles.
We've all been there.
Consider where you might apply these insights. Think about which elements we discussed today, be these specific, measurable goals, clear rules of behavior, the right mix of skills and potential, or even that deep personal awareness and shared vision could truly elevate the performance of your own collective efforts, whether in your professional life, your community group, or even within your family. Perhaps that struggling committee isn't a pseudo-team after all, but just a working group desperately in need of a collective work product and mutual accountability.
And to leave you with a provocative thought to mull over. If common commitment and mutual accountability are indeed the twin engines driving high-performing teams, what inherent human tendencies, perhaps a natural inclination towards individualism, or maybe a reluctance to trust fully, or even subtle, unseen organizational structures, might be powerfully yet subtly holding your groups back from becoming truly exceptional teams? What's getting in the way?
That's a great question to ponder. I encourage you to continue exploring this fascinating field, perhaps by seeking out Richard Hackman's research for its empirical depth and practical advice on setting up teams for success, or by reflecting on the powerful, unifying role of personal awareness and shared vision in any collective endeavor you're part of. There's always more to learn about the magic and the discipline of collective effort and how to harness it effectively.
No more hiding in the corners, no more playing small. There's a purpose deeply calling. Hear it stand up tall. Feel the tremor deep inside your soul. A sleeping giant ready to take control. Awaken vision, let your spirit rise and ignite. Be the beacon, lead them forward into the light. The path ahead may twist and turn with challenges unseen, but every step you take now shows the leader you have been. For inspiration lives within you, a compass strong and true, to guide not just your own direction, but to light the way for a few. No more hiding in the corners, no more playing small. There's a purpose deeply calling. Here it's